Welcome to Talent Talks, your go-to podcast for insights into global recruitment and the power of finding the right talent, brought to you by More Staffing. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an HR expert, or just keen on personal and professional growth, we are here to share valuable insights and stories that can transform your approach to talent management. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by two exceptional experts in the field. First, we have Harvey Spence, a dedicated coach and trainer with over 4 years of experience. Harvey recently joined More Staffing, where he has been making a significant impact for the past 4 months. His expertise lies in coaching and training talent, helping individuals unlock their full potential and achieve their career goals. We are delighted to welcome Keziah Ogmena, a seasoned recruitment specialist with 5 years of experience. Keziah has been with More Staffing for nearly a year, where she has excelled in identifying and attracting top talent. Her deep understanding of recruitment process and her strategic approach have been invaluable in shaping successful teams. So stay tuned as we dive into today's discussion on the importance of training and onboarding, exploring best practices, challenges, and the future of talent development. Now let's get started. Welcome, Kez and Harvey.
Hi, everyone.
Diving right in, can you tell us a bit about your background and experience in training, Harvey?
Hi, Coach Lara. So once again, good day to you and to everyone who's listening. So I'm Coach Harvey Spence. My background is really more on training and also a little bit of onboarding. It started when I started as a success coach in one of a financial technology company in the Philippines, and then proceeded with hospitality experience. So all along, I was really exposed to meeting other people, which is a very crucial element in onboarding. So I think with all of the experiences from the past with the financial technology company, the hospitality industry, and also customer service, here I am now, hopefully picking someone's mind for today. Yeah, I think that's it for starters.
Thanks, Harvey. And how about you, Kez?
Thank you. Good morning, to everyone who's listening. Good morning. So I've been in HR or recruitment for 5 years now. So I worked with a lot of industries as well. I first started out working for BPO companies based in the Philippines, always working with clients who's also based outside of the Philippines or internationally. So my field is really in doing interviews, doing onboarding. So there I work with a lot of industries, work with a lot of clients with different pain points, at the same time also maintaining a great relationship with candidates. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years up until now in HR.
Thank you, Kez. Back to you, Harvey. Thank you for sharing your background. What motivated you to specialize in training and onboarding?
I think the first quality that I've observed with myself is that I am a people person. After that, when I get to realize that, I made sure that I wanted to have a career that allows me to meet other people. And training and also onboarding gave me that opportunity. So I think that's where the motivation really settled.
Okay, thank you. And for you, Kaz, why is the training and onboarding crucial for business success based on your experience, Kaz, supporting international clients?
So based on my experience, I've really understood how training and onboarding is really important both for the agency and for the clients, because we as the staffing agency, we have to understand the pain points of our clients, how to pair them with the right talent. So we have to have an understanding of what's needed so that we can deliver as a staffing agency the right talent for that. And it's really helpful to have training and onboarding processes, because especially for me, when I do onboarding, I have to have a relationship with the candidate to make them understand what's needed by this client and how you can help them. It also helps the candidate to know like what they need to know before they start with the client. Like as a staffing agency, where do we come in? What can we offer? How can we mediate things at the same time? Like what's our processes, basically how we can help them as an agency and how we can support this hire and also helping their talent with or their client with what's needed or what's the pain point. So I think it's really important to have a proper onboarding process to be able to not let go, but to be able to like connect to the talent properly and very settled, and to be able to also inform the client that this talent is ready. So that's how it is for me in terms of
Yes, taking a step back for those for our listeners who just tuned in this episode, we in More Staffing, we provide independent contractors to international businesses. So we find and we match exceptional Filipino remote talents to international companies. And the relationship as independent contractor is that once we find the talent that the client wants to hire, then they will start working with them directly. So different clients, different countries. We have clients in US, Europe, UK, Australia, Canada. And so having different cultures as well, different categories of the products they're selling. Either they are DTC e-commerce or an agency or service providers. There different companies have different ways on how to make sure that they have a successful onboarding, especially in the remote setup. So that's a little bit of a background. And then moving to the support that we provide, as Kez mentioned, we onboard our talents before they start working with our clients. And Harvey, for you are the in-house coach of More Staffing. Just a little bit background on that. We support our talents with 12 months of coaching, training, and mentoring program led by Harvey. And so for you, what do you think is, why do you think this is crucial for business success?
So actually, that is a very wonderful question, Coach, because our employees or our talents or our candidates come in with vast experiences. Some of them are entry levels, but our coaching program or even our training programs gives that standardization of what they should be learning so that we can offer more than what they have right now. And not just that, we're trying to set them up for bigger roles, for more senior roles. So I think that's really like a jam-packed answer for it. That's why it's very important.
Kez, can you walk us through your process in onboarding a talent before they start working with a client? So just so we have an idea what's happening during onboarding session.
Okay. So our onboarding process here in More Staffing is that we initially start off the session with introducing the talent to More Staffing, like how we started, who are the people that they will potentially meet while they work with More Staffing, what are our services, or especially like what are the goals of the company, what are our benefits that we can offer to this talent. This usually starts off with that, our benefits, our introduction. And then we go ahead into the role. So we walk the talent to the role. So when are they expected to start? What would be their role and who will be the client? So I also walk them through the job responsibilities just to like inform them again of what's needed for this job. What are the main responsibilities that they will be doing for this client? What's needed by this client for this role? So we have that's part of what we discuss during the morning session. And then I also discuss the payroll. So I think that's really important. I think most of the talents are very particular with how are they going to be paid, like what's the frequency of the payroll. So that also will be talked about. And at the same time, we also discuss our contracts. So with More Staffing, this a talent has a contract or a talent agreement with More Staffing and separate contract with the client. So that's also something that we discuss. So before onboarding session, our process is we send the draft talent agreement to the talent so that they can review the contract before they sign it. And then if they have questions, that's something that we discuss in the onboarding session. So contract is also very important. So that's also something that we discussed during our onboarding session. So I think those are the main parts of what's being discussed in our onboarding session.
Do you experience having like during the onboarding session that the talent is not agreeing to the structure or to our guidance on how to work well or how to work successfully with our clients?
Most of the time, I always have talents who like understands the business and understands how independent contractor works. So there's not much question about that. But sometimes they're like rather than like a reaction that's not ideal, it's more of like questions on, to further understand our process. So I don't have candidates who's really not, like especially during onboarding, I don't have candidates who doesn't really agree with what we do as a business, because most of our hires, we have been independent contractors before. They know how things work as a contractor. So I don't really have conflicts in terms of onboarding, more of like just questions to better understand our process or the role. So it's more of like still a further discussion.
And thank you for that, Kez. For our clients, for our listeners who have doubts on hiring independent contractors from the Philippines, on how it will be effective, like if they are used to in-person working together, or at least hiring someone from their local states or cities, onboarding and hiring an independent contractor from the Philippines can be challenging if they're not used to it. So, Harvey, how does effective training impact employee performance and retention, and how does this help our listeners or the business owners understand that they can also work with their talents for not just like a short period of time, but longer period of time through the help of training programs that we set?
That's also an interesting question, Coach Lara. So the goal for each training program, and not just here at More, but for everything that I actually do, or for the training programs that I actually create, is to gamify. Like there is a sense of gamification right there. And why is that super important? All of our talents or candidates are already adults. So some of the things are somehow boring for others, and some are so super challenging for them that it would make them feel anxious about their work. Now, gamifying a simple concept would make things interesting, that they would actually have fun while doing the training program. And that's really a promise to the training program here at More. We started with certain elements that would hope to pique their interest and whatnot. And training is very important, to be specific, because like I mentioned a while ago, we are setting them up for roles, right? If our talents or candidates are not properly set up for those roles with our training programs, then it would affect their retention, or they would work for shorter periods rather than actually thrive. That's why investing in, simple training programs just to, improve their lifestyle or their knowledge at work is very crucial, not just at work, but actually in life in general. So I think that's how I would take it, Coach Star.
Harvey, we've done some training programs together, one in media buying and some internal trainings that we do. Can you describe your approach to designing your training?
Okay. So usually how I design my training program is so funny. That's how I would really describe it. And the reason why, it's because it's intentional. We want our training programs to not be boring. Adults usually get bored so easily, right? Even me, like I'm a young adult and I easily get bored when the speaker is a little bit relaxed or not really putting up an effort for it. So my training programs are usually funny. I started with questions that are very a little bit groundbreaking. It always takes them back to the past so that they can relate to their experiences, because the expectation here really is that we're all adults. We have different specific what do you call this? We have different specializations with work. So how do I relate this certain training program to everyone? So I usually go back to certain scenarios that we've experienced, like in high school or in college, just to make everyone feel connected with the discussion. So that's how I usually start my training program, letting them reminisce certain memories and asking them groundbreaking questions that would make them their mind think. So yep, that's how I would take it.
Right. Did you had an experience before wherein you created something like a training program that you think did not work out, hence you transitioned to this approach?
Yes. So way back, I don't know, like 2 years, 3 years ago, when I was still starting, when you were still young, you wanted to be very formal. You wanted to be professional. You wanted to be like the bosses that you think they are like that. But I realized my audience are not really, they don't engage very well when you are so professional or when you are so formal. Right? And that's how I transitioned to this kind of approach, realizing that, hey, I don't have to be like put up in a box that I should be formal or professional about it, because these people need me to be funny. These people need me to initiate, striking conversations, striking questions that would really make them react. Wow, is this even a training program? This is more of like a conversation or dialogue that is actually funny or interesting. So that's how I transitioned from that, conservative approach to this really more fun way of doing.
Kes, during the onboarding schedule that we do with our talents, do we manage their expectations that there will be training, coaching, and mentoring programs in the span that they are working with a client?
Yes. Even before we do onboarding with them, it's also like part of our initial interviews with the candidates so that they know what to expect. Because I think it's really important that we impress the beauty or the benefit of having coaching programs. And sometimes our coaching programs are not like technical, but they have to be like very, they had to be very, what do you call that? Somehow there's like a notion that they had to overthink the sessions. I always explain that our coaching sessions are like wellness sessions. Whatever they want to talk about, whatever they want to improve, they're free to open that up with their coach, and their coach will be able to, or Coach Harvey will be able to build or tailor a program that would adjust that. So during initial interviews, I think other recruitment specialists also already discussed that so that they know what to expect, and it gives them like a feeling that they want to continue this application because we have that benefit. So and that's also impressed again on the onboarding session. What we have these onboarding sessions, you have it weekly. You get to speak with your coach freely, whatever you want to talk about, whatever help you need. It's going to be discussed, and of course, they have the discretion to just say the things that they want to say. They're not required to, you have to tell us everything. It's not like that. So whatever they want to talk about, whatever they want, it's going to be discussed during these sessions. They're very helpful. So that's, I think that's how it is for us in More Staffing, and how we onboard our candidates to this benefit, because our coaching sessions are really beneficial both for the talent and both for the path.
A follow-up question to that, Kez. What are some of the best practices you've found effective based on your almost 1 year of experience onboarding talents for clients?
Okay. I think what's really helpful for me in doing onboarding sessions is like I put my place into that, or like I put my place into that situation. Like if I am the talent, what would I need to know, or what would I need to know during onboarding sessions? So I try my best to align my sessions based on that, based on what the talent needs to know. So I think when I do onboarding sessions, it's really important for them to know the staffing agency or the business that they are working with. at the same time, it's also important for them to understand their role. So say, for example, if we're hiring for a social media manager for this client, your role is, I have to like walk them through, because before we do onboarding sessions, sometimes we also have client calls, wherein the client also tells us what they need. And I try my best to really impress that for an onboarding session. Like, what would this job role entail, and what are you expected to do for this client? I think that's also very important. And at the same time, also basically just the payroll, the contracts. That's also something that is also very important for me as an employee, and that's also something that I would want to incorporate in my onboarding session, because most of the questions are really, as an employee, most of the questions are really just the salary, how are we going to get paid, when are we going to get paid, if we sign the contract, what will that include? So I think I think of the onboarding session that way, and I think most of the employees do. So that's how I do onboarding sessions, just relating it with me personally and what I need as a talent or an employee.
Yeah, that's a very good approach. I know that we are also Filipino talents working remotely, so our needs will somehow be similar with the needs of other talents as well. And most of our clients, our target market, also our clients who we have been supporting, are mostly in the e-commerce and DTC space. That's a direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands, agencies and service providers. And this industry has is known for changing all the time, like an ever quick changes in how they need their talents to support them, the type of marketing strategy that they need to work on, how they will handle supply chain and business operations. It's changing so quickly that for me, training and coaching programs should be part of this company's regular schedule. So with our support, Harvey, how do we tailor training programs to meet the diverse needs of our talents, supporting their clients?
So usually, and I think that's one of the pain points of training programs. How do you relate a certain training or a certain topic to almost everyone? So what we usually do is to find certain concepts that can be applicable to almost any situation. So when we're talking about direct-to-consumer brands, we need to somehow earn a perspective how we can be people person in certain concepts, so that we can introduce brands like this and that. Usually when we do coaching, right? When we do coaching, I emphasize to them that this concept might not be applicable to everyone, but you can apply it in your life. So it's for everyone to use. We can do, for example, we can do goal setting, not just in marketing or in sales, but to almost every industry. Second one, we can do cost benefit analysis, not just in a certain area, but also here and there. So, but going back, when we're talking about our, let's say, our e-commerce and the direct-to-consumer brands, hopefully we can tailor our topics in a way that it's people-facing. Okay, so people will see it. So how would you want to present? So there's a certain element right there that we usually apply.
And although we have an onboarding and training programs, and we encourage our clients to do the same, since after our onboarding CAS, we are expecting that they will do their internal onboarding as well, and then they work with us in the training opportunity and coaching opportunity. But of course, challenges cannot be avoided. There are times that we did our best in onboarding our talents before they start, and even the clients do their best in onboarding their talents before they also start working the training. We are going to face challenges, and with your experience, how do we help them what are some of the common challenges we face when implementing onboarding and training program?
Okay. So I think based on our experience or some of the experiences that I had, some of the challenges that we have in terms of onboarding or training, I think doesn't really necessarily connect with how we do onboarding or how we do training. Sometimes, like on the candidates and whenever you apply for a job, you really have to show your best self. And us as recruiters, we take it we take whatever we can get from that conversation or that interview with the talent. And I think sometimes people are just really very great with hiding what do you call that, like hiding not like bad things, but sometimes things that are really uncomfortable as an employee and as for the talent. So that's not also something that I take against our hiring process, because those are really things that we can't control. And people, they have their own, mind. They're adults. They know what they're doing. So I think we can only do as much. So I'm very impressed with how we do our regular check-ins, and we do regular coaching sessions. I think that's our way of knowing how to help them or how we can help them. What are the things that we can assist them with? But let's say if a talent is not really welcoming with that discussion or conversation, then we can only do so much. So I think for me, I really take pride in how we do, because we always have, it's not something that we can avoid. We always have, sometimes our talents really have problems. And as a staffing agency, we try our best on how we can help them. We do regular check-ins, we do coaching sessions. And sometimes it's really helpful. There's really improvement. There's really improvement how they do work with their relationship with the client. Sometimes there's really there's no participation. That's why it's not working. But I think that's really normal. It's not something that we can impose. We really have to do this. It's really different face-to-face basis. And we're dealing with people that has their own like mind and personality. So I think, yes, I think we can only do so much with our hiring, with our coaching sessions and regular check-ins here in More Staffing.
Harvey, how do we deal about clients requesting for upskilling? For example, if for example a client emailed today, or existing client emailed today that he or she wants the talents to develop a certain skill, like how do we manage that kind of request? What's the step-by-step process?
For me, the actual process for that is to determine what is the core one of the client. Like how does he or she want the candidate to possess? Like what qualities should the candidate possess? Because that's 50% of the problem, not problem, but the upskilling, recognition, what needs to be upskilled. So recognizing how or what qualities should be there will be the first step of how the training program will be built. So I think that's how I would answer it, really determining what that thing is, what the quality is. And I think the client can only answer to that. I can throw in some suggestions to bring up the idea, but really the actual expectation, the core expectation of the client will be the sole basis, or not really the sole, the major basis for how the training program will be.
I remember, yes, Harvey, I remember having receiving an email from a client that is requesting for the talent to have a better understanding on how to work well with international remote team members. And the way that we set up the process is we of course included you in the email, and then there was a call discussion. So that's the alignment part that you were discussing about, that there should be an alignment. What's the expectation of the client? Is it achievable? Is it aligned with how we initially find or source the talent? Yes, because there can be sometimes changes from the expectations when we're hiring to the expectations, current expectations where there are changes. So, of course, you may have known that our agency also provide a 12 months guarantee. So that's our promise to our clients, is whatever happens to the talent, whether they did not meet expectations, even after um, a series of onboarding, training, coaching, and mentoring program, if they did not meet the expectations, then we have to replace the talent. So that's another hiring process, and we need to that promise. We make sure that we of course find the best talent in the beginning, but there are instances and times that we need to replace a talent. And I think what we are doing in terms of making sure that we first help the talent. Of course, we don't want the talent to feel neglected on the side, that they are not supported in training, coaching, and mentoring. So we first help them. But of course, there's like upcoming or future what do you call this, performance review, if they have improved after that training programs. So if not, and if they are really needed to be replaced, then that's where more staffing will find another talent. But based on my experience, we've been successful, Harvey, in making sure that we help the talent improve. And so I remember this specific client where, I'm not sure if you handle this, Kez, but this specific client emailed us to help improve a talent. This is a pen company. And then after helping the talent improve, Coach Harvey, you've coached this talent, we still created like a second sourcing or second talent for him. And he ended up hiring two talents instead. He ended up not letting go of the first talent because of the improvement. So that was a case that is proving that the combination of our onboarding, training, coaching, and mentoring program, when they are working well together, and then we are helping each other, it's not just the talent, but also the client. It makes the business grow. It helps the business grow, and we support the growth of and development of that business. So that's a good example to share. And of course, although we do onboarding, we do training, we also experience resistance. Coach Harvey, how do you address resistance? And I know that this happens once in a while with our talents. Just a few days ago, we had a meeting on how we can improve the attendance of our talents in our coaching, training, and mentoring program. So how do you address resistance or lack of engagement from talents during training sessions?
Gotcha, coach. So, I honestly would say that some coaching sessions there will be talents who are disengaged compared to the others, and I would consider them or these people to be normal. Like, you can't really force someone to actually participate. But what I do in certain situations like that is that I ask them questions. I always ask them questions that are not work related. I let them share a piece of their story because I noticed that whenever they get to share a piece of their lives, they are more like prone to actually oversharing things or wanting to share more. And then I use those experiences that they would share to relate it to what the concept is. So that's how I would usually cater to disengaged people. I let them come in, obviously not really that obtrusive enough that they would feel like I'm singling them out. No, not like that. So I usually ask a couple of people and then those people who are disengaged, and then I bank on his or her experience. And that's how I usually do it.
Thank you for sharing, Harvey. Right, moving to importance in the business growth. the reason why we're doing this is not just to, of course, ensure that we have clients in more staffing, but of course, the more they grow, we know that when our clients grow, the talent, that hiring of talents grow as well. That means more Filipinos are going to have work. And then how we're helping them is making sure that our onboarding and training program is strong. So how do we do this in onboarding program that contributes to overall growth of the company, Kes?
Okay. So our onboarding sessions or onboarding programs continuously improve as the business goes and as we work with different clients. So we always get feedbacks. Not how do I say this? Like we have like we do check-ins, right? We do regular check-ins. We do consistent check-ins, and then we get feedback from these talents or these clients on what they think would need improvements from that last session, or basically how was their overall experience. So I think those check-ins are very important on how we improve our onboarding programs. So over time, we had made improvements with our sessions. We like add either an additional step or an additional discussion just to make sure that all gaps that wasn't previously included was addressed. So those check-ins that we do are also very important on how we still continuously improve the business and improve the process. The goal is to ensure that the candidates or the talents have a good experience being processed by our agency and being paired up with the client, because that also led to referrals. I had several talents who had referred, talents to us saying that they're also looking for clients and they had a great experience working with more staffing. And then another thing is, aside from doing the check-ins, I think basically just maintaining a good relationship. I think it really boils down in doing check-ins, because we do, I think, like the first week and then the first month and then the first 3 months. And if a client has a good relationship with a candidate for the whole time that we're doing check-ins, then that's a great thing. But if not, then that's where our coaching sessions and our training sessions come in. So I think that's really how we improve our onboarding process here in.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Kes. In what ways can business measure the success and effectiveness of their coaching programs, Harvey? For example, they are not just maximizing or training programs in more staffing. If they are also very, if they have the learning mindset and growth mindset in their company, they would probably create their own training programs within their company. So how can they measure the success and effectiveness of their programs?
All right. So whenever there is a training program, you don't just create training programs and then that's it, right? There should always be like a follow-up or like an assessment or some sort where you can actually see, oh, the training program concept has been applied already. Now, just to simplify this kind of discussion, each training program should be built with an end in mind. Like, how should this training program look, or, how should this training concept or program be applied in certain situations? And that's where the role of the coach or a trainer should be. It's about quantifying the concepts. So there's a little bit of math here and there whenever we get to do that. But the thing here is that you just have to make a scale of like probably 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, however the company would want to do it. And then make sure that there are actual behavioral manifestations being measured. And then that's how you get to have a crack that, okay, this training program has been seen to showcase this kind of level of behavior, like a 9 out of 10, right? And that's how a company or establishment can actually gauge if the training program is effective. That's how we do it in a very simplified manner. Of course, there are other ways to do it, but this is more of like an invitation to companies who would want to try it on their own.
Yeah.
And I think companies can relate to that when they apply their KPIs already in, measuring the training programs. But that's how to simplify things. You just need to actually measure it, try to add some math, add some scale to certain and actual behavioral manifestation, wherein that's the promise in the training program. So that's how you do it.
And for trends and innovations discussion, since we are dealing with e-commerce that is primarily changing trends and very high in innovations, based on your experience, Coach Harvey, what are some current trends in training that business should be aware of? What's new in this industry?
Gotcha. Okay, gone are the days wherein training programs are done like face to face or synchronous. One groundbreaking strategy that I have been using is to actually make it more asynchronous or make it more flexible, friendly. But the challenge there, of course, I would also share the concept of you're risking the engagement, which is actually a major component of training programs for them to be engaged on. But that's how I've been seeing training programs evolve these days, because we have a lot of remote workers, right, who would want to have their time management spent wisely. So they can take the training module asynchronously for a different time, and then we would just, have a revalidation by the end of the week, wherein we get to meet and ask questions and answer them, right? So I think that's one trend that is very popular for this generation. That okay, I can get to watch this, and I have a recorded version of it. I also have a written version of it. So for those, I think this is my second trend. So training programs right now are not just synchronous, but they are also explored across different learning styles. If I am a visual learner, then there are videos for it. If I am more of like a reader, I can read through it like in a document. So that's how training programs are changing right now, catering to different learning styles and how the preferences of the talents would be should they join a certain training program. So those two things are really somehow the it move for training.
Yeah, and there are not just the training programs that we provide, Coach Harvey. There are tons of free training programs online that wasn't available when I was starting at work. I don't want to say how many years ago, but those I remember the training programs that we had after college. It's like literally flying to Singapore, flying to other cities to have that training, and not just your company needs to pay for it, not just for the training payment, but also flight, hotel, etc. And it is going to it's one of the challenges that companies encounter, because you need budget for that. You need to sustain if you want. You need to sustain a budget if you want to keep growing your team through training programs. And the shift to remote, that you can just watch videos, YouTube videos. You can record evergreen videos and then have it available for free. And then you can have like an online assessments as well, online tests, and even written, as you've mentioned, for those who are loving, for those who love to read instead. And then we have different styles that we can do presently for trainings. So thank you for sharing that, Harvey. That's super helpful. And I believe that more and more in the future, there will be technologies that will come out there that will not only use videos or reading materials, but probably a higher technology type of training that they can make use of. And Kez, for you, you've been working as an HR recruitment specialist even before joining more staffing. And do you have like an experience comparing like 4 years ago in terms of onboarding versus the type of onboarding that we do, that we do right now?
Okay. So, onboarding, how we did onboardings before was really face to face. So, you discuss everything with the new hires being in front of you, and it's really also very interactive because there's like a social connection with the new hires at that time. So it was also both informative. It was also fun because of course you can just throw in some side comments and there will be like reactions. So that's really a great thing to just really socialize as well. So transitioning remotely, it's also something that I'm very like personally inclined to do, doing things remotely because I've been working remotely like around 2 years from now, and I've also spoke or engaged with talent who's also been working remotely, even more than me. So what's really different in doing onboarding face to face and doing onboarding remotely is really the convenience. So I think the candidates are more settled, or the newers are more settled because they're doing the onboarding session at a place or at a time that's really convenient for them. There's no transportation involved, which can also cause stress. There's not a lot of preparation involved compared to doing that on site. So personally, it was very pretty easy and convenient for me doing things remotely. I think the challenges are always the usual things. If there would be like, let's say, power outage or internet connection issues. But aside from that, if those things are not considered, remote onboarding is just also as effective as doing onboarding on site. All things that needs to be discussed are still discussed, and those sessions are listened to or being discussed at a place that's both convenient for me as a recruiter and both for the new hire. I think that was it for me, transitioning onboarding remote.
Right. And I am also like the training part. We're also excited to look forward to what's gonna be the change in our onboarding. How do we do it? Like process. How do we even? I know that more staffing is continuously improving on our processes, and how do we even help our clients and talents to be prepared with the working together through onboarding and training. So looking forward to discoveries that we will have in the future. So as for the last part of this podcast, I would love to ask for, as part of every podcast that I do, I love asking for advice to business owners from my guests. So for you, Harvey and Kens, what advice would you give to our business owners who are looking to improve their training and onboarding process?
I think I would want to go first. So, I think there are two things that I'd love business owners to think when it comes to training program. Number one is engagement. Okay, so training programs would not be as effective as they seem if our talents are not convinced enough for them to engage on that certain program. And how do we actually do that? Number one is to let them understand what the training program is about. People are not interested if they are confused to the subject matter at hand. Like, what is this? I don't want to join this because I don't understand. So having them introduce a certain interesting picture in their mind would solve that problem. Okay, so give them the engagement that we need from them by actually letting them know what the training program is about, but in a fun and interesting way. That's why I'm very creative with my titles. That's why I'm very creative with how I position topics and, letting them feel motivated before we actually jump into the discussion. Second one is training programs should not just be all about the trainer talking. We're all adults here and we have a lot of experiences. And what we want is to bank on their experiences and just let the trainer synthesize what they are actually talking about or redirect what their conversation is about. Because gone were the days wherein, okay, here's the training program, I am the trainer, you guys sit down, classroom setup, period, listen to me, and then we'll do a revalidation after this. Gone were the days wherein it was all so boring. Right now, trainers champion what we call a very open dialogue when it comes to training program. We gather experiences here and there, and we back on them. We relate them to the topic, and then do the actual analogy, right? So those are, I think, the two things that are very important, because the first one should hook them to be, to join the training program, and the second one is to actually let them experience what a real training program should be like. Okay. And I think I would want to add a third one, Coach, right? Get a trainer wherein they understand how behaviors can be changed, or how a certain mindset can be changed throughout a certain period. And one indicator for our owners to actually hire a trainer is when they understand concepts on, such as quantifying behaviors or making a certain concept, a qualitative concept, into more of a numeric one, so that these numbers can meet the actual numbers or reports to be created, to be presented to the management. Because sometimes the issue of training programs is there is a detachment from the actual thing happening and what the management. So the trainer should be able to quantify all throughout that, while not risking that it's just numbers and it's just words. So that's how I would want to share the advice for business. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
That's a lot. That's a lot to that's a great advice that coming from coming from a coach and a trainer. Of course, they can also try different things. What's going to be effective for one company can be not effective for another company. So doing a multiple strategies in training is going to be really helpful. How about for you, Kez? Any advice for our listeners in the DTC space?
Okay. So for onboarding, I think it's really important that our sessions are customized, or the onboarding sessions are customized on what needs to be addressed on that onboarding session. Like, say for example, for our company, we work with a lot of different roles, and none of these roles are the same. So we can't use a general template for these onboarding sessions. It has to be customized in a way that the goal of that session is addressed and aligned with the role on what's needed. At the same time, it's also important during onboarding sessions to do our check-ins, because that's the way for us to get feedback. That's the way for us to know what's going on, or how we can improve, what needs to be changed, or what needs to be basically just to get feedbacks to further the improvement of the business. And at the same time, just really maintaining communication with the people in the business. So let the business grow. A lot of things change. There might be changes in standard procedures, how we do things, how we do processes. It's really important for the people in the business to be very involved and be very informed of what's happening. That's the only way for all of the people, or the teammates, the colleagues, the executives, can work collectively and just really have harmonious and informative relationship also of the employment. So I think that's some of the things that I had noticed that really brought significant improvement on onboarding.
We've seen a huge transition and change improvement 5 years ago. What are we seeing as a future outlook 5 years, 5 to 10 years from now, in terms of training, Coach Harvey?
I honestly think training programs in the future will be more interactive than ever. And when I say interactive, we can find ways how to be interactive in the virtual space. because training programs are innately interactive if they are done face to face because everyone is there. But right now, I think one of the challenges is that there is still a lack of platform wherein people will feel the same level of interaction done face to face should also be felt in the virtual space. So I think that's hopefully the direction that the training and the coaching will be moving forward like 5 years from now. And I think currently, like I mentioned just a while ago, gone were the days wherein trainings are done face to face. So there is a shift. I can see that shift right now, but I hope to see more platforms in the future to host training programs that are as interactive as face to face, but also flexible in a sense that, it's not really that time sensitive compared to, the conservative approach of training programs. So I hope to see that in the future.
Thank you for sharing, Harvey. And last question for you guys. How can a business stay ahead of the curve and continuously improve onboarding practices?
Okay. So I think my my knowledge with onboarding sessions are still very consistent with what I said earlier. I think it's really important for businesses to have a customized onboarding plan to each of their hires. We're dealing with different roles, different job responsibilities. At the same time, it's really important to really do regular check-ins because that's the only way for us to understand the challenges or just really have the framework of what we need to improve. If they're having a great time in the company, then basically everything's well. But if there are challenges, then that's really something that should be addressed properly, like with due process. So check-ins are also very important. And at the same time, just basically maintaining constant communication with our new hires. So whatever support they need, whatever confusion they have, I think that's really important to be addressed. It's really important for me as a recruiter also to establish friendliness to this hire or to this talent before they move forward. So I think it's really important for them to be very informed and to be very ready to do their role because there's a lot of confusion involved. There's also a lot of questions, so they can't move forward properly. So I think that's it for me. And that's really also helpful for business owners as they understand what's needed, what's needed, what are the challenges, and that's the only way to move forward and to keep improving.
Right. What I would like to advise any business owners, based on my experience, is making sure that they create a safe space for the talents to ask questions. Guess you've mentioned a really good point there, where even though you have the best training, coaching, mentoring programs, onboarding programs, if you cannot create a safe space for the talents to answer or to ask questions, rather, that would be very challenging. And despite despite how great your programs are, if there's no opportunity to discuss thoughts or create thought-provoking discussions, or for them to ask open-ended questions that can lead to thought processing, then that would be it put into waste. And so my advice is for every company to as much as possible create like a healthy, peaceful, and a healthy, peaceful environment in making sure that there's an open communication between talents and clients. And I know that we are culturally different and there can be different approaches to this. Filipino talents tend to be a little bit shy in the beginning. That we're in more staffing, we're doing our best to stop or improve this weakness, but at the same time, it will be a huge help if your company or team members are going to set a very friendly environment and safe space for our talent. So that's my advice. And thank you so much, Kez, Harvey. This is very helpful. I know that especially for our discussions, our next webinar actually, Coach Harvey's is all about that is related to this topic, and we're hoping that we can help more in that upcoming webinar. Thank you for tuning in to Talent Talks. We'll be sharing onboarding guides in our post when we upload this podcast. So stay subscribed for more insights and stories from the dynamic world of recruitment and talent management. Here's to learning, growing, and thriving together in the space of TTC. Thank you so much again, Kez and Harvey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.